What is up, guys? It's the Sound Alchemist, part of OneMindSyndicate, and today I'm back to talk about Warhammer 40k. So one of the chapters of Space Marines that I think everybody kind of forgets about is that of the Raven Guard. They're pretty cool because their Primarch has this shadow walk ability where he could blend in with the shadows and mask his presence, and you would think that this type of ability would be passed on to his sons, and it kind of is, but it kind of isn't. The Raven Guard are they're expert warriors when it comes to hit and run tactics. They strike from the shadows and cause the most devastation they can, but it doesn't really seem that they can blend into the shadows, or can they? So in this section, we're going to be reading about the Shadow Captain novel and how some of these Raven Guard may be doing a similar type of ability to that of Shadow Walk. So let's dive into this 40k lore. He was frustrated by Krevin's decision. He was not, however, embarrassed to reveal that he didn't understand the reasons behind it. The captain treated information with care due to any great weapon. He was not deceptive with his battle brothers. Caligus did not think Krevin had ever kept secrets from the company that they should have known about, but he guarded his thoughts jealously. Caligus had never been able to read his face. He tried, and he had tried earlier during the briefing. Krevin's expressions were as opaque as if he were wearing his helmet. Caligus knew the captain would not delay the demolition of the bridge without good motivation. He also knew that he would not be privy to those motives until Krevin chose to reveal them, if ever. A few thousand meters to the south of the bridge, Barassi was a shadow among shadows. He was positioned at the edge of the tree line, before the narrow strip of land that ran between the forest and the gorge. The orcs' flanking advance had one quality that Barassi appreciated. It was direct. They were taking the most obvious route to trap the Eldar in a vice. Loop around the edge of the forest and back up again. They were charging at full speed, a mass of fury operating more on instinct than strategy. That made them easy to anticipate. Their route was forward and obvious. There is certain luxury in a foe who obediently enters the ambush, Krevin said. Barassi would have sworn the Shadow Captain hadn't been at his side a moment before. His years of service in the 8th Company had taught him to expect Krevin's sudden appearances, even if he was never able to see his commander's approach. Krevin inhabited the shadows like no other warrior in Barassi's experience. He carried the night with him. It was present, a cloak waiting to cover him, even in broad daylight. The shadows began in Krevin's eyes. They lived there and emerged from there, as if the captain could blind whatever met his gaze. Sometimes when they felt particularly in the dark about the reasons behind Krevin's decisions, they attempted a futile parsing. Barassi and Caligus would wind up to the point of their captain's physical obscurity. Caligus maintained that Krevin was hard to read. Barassi disagreed. He thought Krevin was indeed hard to see. At a superficial level, Krevin's features were not visible. He had the same bleach pigmentation of all the Raven Guard. His features were sharp, the hollows of his cheeks and eye sockets so deep that his flesh seemed to be absorbed by his skull. The effect was enhanced by his pronounced brow and cheekbones. His eyes were almost hidden. They were narrow, dark, glittering judgment. They saw everything, but revealed nothing. And as always, the shadows. Was it possible that his features themselves cast them? Was his face his own mask? The idea had occurred to Barassi more than once. At other times, he assumed that he was seeking Krevin's supreme skill at work. Had he mastered wraith slipping to the point that it was his natural state of being, to pass unseen and unheard until the enemy's final movement had gone beyond instinct with Krevin? It must be no different from breathing, or from the beat of hearts, he thought. Every action, at every moment, evaded the gaze of the observer. Barassi took some pride in his own wraith slipping, But even with Kreven was slightly directly before him, his impression of the captain was uncertain. Kreven existed in the gaps between perception. It seemed to Barassi that it was an act of conscious choice for Kreven to step out of the shadows, a choice he rarely made. But this was not sorcery. It was a skill as material as the wielding of lightning claws. And there you have it, guys. This is an interesting excerpt because we see just how much stealth plays, not just in their ability to fight in combat, but also as just like a way of just existing. The shadows they cast on their own face almost helps them to just blend in with their surroundings. So it's really interesting to see that the Raven Guard may or may not have this type of wraith slip or shadow walk or camouflage, that they're able to just do stealth actions almost as naturally as it is breathing or the beating of a heart, like they mentioned here. They're also capable of dampening the noise they make, because when you think about it, these guys are really tall, really bulky, they got this heavy armor, they're bound to make noise. However, when they stalk their enemies, they almost become completely silent and, in some cases, completely invisible to the naked eye. So this is just a good explanation to just showcase that the vast amount of Space Marines out there really do excel in a variety of different types of combat. So for example, you've got close combat experts such as the Emperor's Children or the World Eaters, or looking at the Loyalist side, you can see just how well the Space Wolves do in close combat. And then you've got others that excel in ranged combat or even with vehicles such as the White Scars. And then you have almost a duality between the Night Lords and the Raven Guard, when they both do hit and run tactics, but one's really stealthy, the Raven Guard, and the others use almost like shock tactics, flaying their enemies and showcasing their bodies on front of their rhinos to just show the enemy that this is what's going to happen to you. So it's really cool that we get to see this from the Raven Guard, because it's funny how we tend to forget about the Raven Guard, and that's kind of their whole shtick. So it's really cool that GW has given us these excerpts that really showcase that psychic powers don't have to be this really flashy, shooting mind bullets, summoning lightning tornadoes, and like warp flame, like the Thousand Suns. It could be as minute but powerful as just blending in with the shadows. So let me know your thoughts on the Raven Guard. Do you think they need more time in the limelight, or should they just keep to the shadows just like they do in the lore? But that's all I got for today, guys. Again, let me know your thoughts on them down below. Let me know if there's any other chapters you want me to cover here. I know I recently talked about the Space Wolves fighting against the Ice Kraken on Fenris. And yeah, we'll just keep it going from there. As always, this has been the Sound Alchemist, part of OneMindSyndicate, and I'll be seeing you guys in the next one. Peace.